Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Inspires Beliefcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. And today you guys are in for a treat, and I can't believe this person's sitting right in front of me. And I'm just going to read off who this is. So today we are honored to welcome one of the most courageous and influential survivors in modern history, Elizabeth Smart. At just 14 years old, Elizabeth was kidnapped from her home and thrust into a nightmare that lasted 9 months. During that time, she clung to one quiet, resilient truth. If I could survive today, maybe my family would find me tomorrow. When she finally was rescued, the headlines focused on her escape, but her real journey was only beginning. Elizabeth has spent years in navigating the unseen terrain of trauma, healing, identity, and rebuilding. Her new book, Detours, which I got a copy a few weeks ago and I just finished it. It's an amazing book. It's a masterclass in hope. It teaches us to rise out of the dirt, take the first impossible steps, and reclaim ownership of a life interrupted. It's a guide for anyone who has ever felt lost, stuck, derailed, or broken, and wondered how to begin again. Elizabeth's story led her to her husband, Matthew, who she calls home, and she has her beautiful children. She has an amazing foundation, a global advocacy movement that continues to protect and empower survivors everywhere. She writes, "One thing is for certain, I'm living a life full of love." And when I read that in your book, I was blown away. I literally wrote, wow. Today, Elizabeth joins us to talk about survival, faith, grief, reframing her inner voice, and how to find the tools to guide ourselves when the road disappears completely. Elizabeth, again, thank you for your courage. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your work. And again, thank you for being on my show. I am just like blown away that you're here.
Well, thank you for your kind words. And I'm happy to be here.
You betcha. So there's so many questions. You can tell, you can see her book right here. It's an amazing book. And I've got notes. I've dissected this thing, and there's so much to talk about. I think my first question is going to be, I want to read it here because I really wanted to make sure. I've got highlights of everything that I've read about. So here we go. So the world knows the headlines of what happened to you, Elizabeth. Very few people, though, understand the inner journey that you've had to take after that. Before we get into your story and the trauma and the things like that and the rescue, what part of your story do you wish people really understood?
That's a good question. I think I need a second to think about it.
Yeah. I'm hitting you right out of the gates with a good one.
You are. I mean, I think people always talk to me about, oh, you're so strong. I don't think I could have gone through something like that. I didn't think I could go through something like that. You know,
Right.
I never dreamed I would be kidnapped. I grew up, I guess you could say, in a bubble.
Yeah.
Like my family was all close. I think if you looked at like my neighborhood, you say that's a really nice neighborhood. And like that seems really safe. And I was like, yes, I was 14 years old, but I was also like incredibly innocent as a 14-year-old. And like if you had told me beforehand or at some point in my life beforehand, I would have never thought I could go through that. And so many people say that to me, like, I could never experience what you experienced. I could never do that. But actually, I think we're all a lot stronger than we think we are. And I mean, there was nothing special about me beforehand. I mean, I was just like another kid, and like today, like I still feel like the same person. Like I'm just another person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, and that makes sense. And I love what you said there, because I think sometimes we really don't know how strong we are until we have to go through something really traumatic, such as you did. And I look at my own life, some of the things I've had to go through, obviously not on the level of what you've been through, but they still were traumatic to me, right? And it caused me to have to dig deep and find my own resilience. And
oh, absolutely. Right? We've all only experienced our own worst trauma, and like that's pretty bad. Like we haven't experienced anyone else's.
Yeah.
We've just experienced our own, and
right.
Like we know how deeply we felt about that.
Sure. So, we talked about this book that is going to go live on December 16th. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's called Detours. And again, thank you for sending me your book. It was a fascinating book. I couldn't put it down. Talk a little bit about why you wrote this book. We're going to delve into a lot of it, but I want to hear from you, like just what was the purpose behind this and why, get it out now?
Well, I feel like you actually said it before we started recording. I mean, everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And everybody struggles. Everyone experiences trauma at some point in their life. I mean, I had someone explain trauma to me as like we go along through life kind of in a window, and trauma is anything that you experience that is outside of that window. Right. So, and the window can grow and shrink all the time. And I think it's easy for all of us to sometimes like fall in a pothole or have something major happen in life and just kind of come to a standstill. And so this book isn't to sit there in judgment of anyone, but it's meant to be a friend. I mean, that's one of my closing statements. This book is meant to be a friend and just a voice of encouragement. And you're not alone, because I also think that trauma can be incredibly isolating. Yeah. Sometimes like the conversations around what we've experienced are really hard to have. And maybe you don't hear people talk about it a lot. Yeah. And, I think it's good for all of us to know that we are not alone. Yeah. And actually, lots of people experience similar things.
Sure. Well, I love in your book, you talk a lot about the power of community. Like we can do great things when we're connected to people, right? And I love that part about your book. There's so much to talk about this book. And I did feel like when I read it, I did feel like you were my friend. To be quite honest with you, it felt like, man, this girl gets me. Because I've gone through a lot in my life, but, right now you would look at my life and everything's fine, but we all have our struggles even to this day. And there were some things that I've been wrestling with as of late, and your book just opened my eyes to so many things that I can do to help me through it. And I did. I felt like I had this friend of Elizabeth telling me, hey, try these things because it worked for me and hopefully it might work for you. If not, try this. And I just loved how you just made it so friendly.
Oh, good. That was my goal.
You did a good job. I wanted, gosh, there's so much to talk about. In your chapter, Meet and Greet, what I love is you get right to the point about something that we all struggle with when we go through something hard or we make a mistake. And I'm going to read from your book. Here's what you said. Sometimes when things get bad enough, we can close in on ourselves entirely and fall into a terrible trap of self-pity and self-loathing. And then you go on, here's some of the things we tell ourselves. I'm worthless. I'm broken. Things will never get better because I'm not strong enough, right? Negative self-talk and the preoccupation with what happened can throw you off course and become a mental block. Focusing on the fact that you are at an impasse becomes your own roadblock. Many therapists call this the cycle of rumination. So you come right out of the gates with that. And I thought, I love that because it's one of the things that I struggled with initially with, what I struggled with. But I see my clients every day struggling with the very thing. They think they're worthless.
Which is...
So talk about that for a minute.
It's heartbreaking. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I know I just wrote about it, but I guess I almost compare it to, this sounds extreme, but murder cases, and like one of the great tragedies of that is the loss of life. Mm-hmm. But taken from this context, when we get into this cycle of self-rumination, that is a loss of life. Yeah. Because we're not valuing ourselves. We're not kind to ourselves. We're not pursuing hope. We're not pursuing something better for ourselves. And I feel like if you don't love yourself, if you don't take care of yourself or are kind to yourself, I mean, that is a loss of life. If you just go through life hating yourself, or periods of your life hating yourself,
Right.
you are not living to your full potential.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was really well said in here. And again, it's easy to fall into that, right? And so I love that you addressed that right off the get-go. And one of the things you led up to is you talked about afterwards, and everyone's got all the answers for you. You got to do this, and you got to try this, and I love when you said the person that knows you the best is you. Like, you knew what was best for you, and I want to hear your words about this, and then I might read something about Grandpa Smart. You talked about how that was really a pivotal part of your healing. Talk about who Grandpa Smart was for you and what you would go do at his place.
I mean, from as far back as I can remember, I just looked up to my grandpa so much. I mean, he was a doctor. He specialized in cancer research.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I'd hear him tell stories about how hard school was for him. I think specifically organic chemistry. But he never gave up.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show him that I never gave up. And he was also a cowboy. And in my mind, I was just like, he is like,
Right.
he is the business. Like, he is so smart and compassionate, but he like can also get out there and ride horses and do everything. And he always said he would never ask someone to do something that he wasn't willing to do himself. And I feel like he really lived a service-oriented life. And I just admired him so much. And I wanted to prove to him that I was the same, that I could do everything the boys could do, and that I was just as tough as them.
Right.
And I just looked up to him so much. And after I was rescued, he was someone that I trusted implicitly. And I mean, I'd been kidnapped and abused by a middle-aged man. I really felt that imbalance of power, recognizing that, like, sometimes there just isn't anything you can do to stop a person who is set on hurting you. And I just felt that imbalance of power for a long time. And so I wasn't comfortable around men.
Sure.
But I always felt safe around my grandpa. And I feel like that was really helpful. And he used to invite me to go horseback riding, which was like my very favorite thing.
Sure, yeah.
And I think what is so nice about horseback riding, and what a lot of people find healing in horseback riding, is horses don't care who you were yesterday.
Yeah.
They don't care who you were a month ago, a year ago. It's all about the present. And they're big animals. You need to be in the present.
Sure.
You need to be aware of what's going on. And it's about that connection in the moment. And so that really forced me to be in the moment and not just dwell on whatever I was struggling with, or the past, or things I was nervous about in the future. And I felt like that was really helpful. Plus, I feel like nature is so healing, and just, it's good to step out of the run of life, or the rat race of life. And that was so helpful. Plus, my grandpa, he didn't treat me like I was broken.
Yes.
And
I love that part.
He encouraged me to do hard things, and maybe things that other people would be like, oh, that's too much for you. Or like, that's just too dangerous.
Right.
And I just really appreciated his encouragement and trust in me that I could do hard things.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That part of your story really stood out to me, is when your grandpa, you said, my grandpa taught me I wasn't broken. Like, and he wouldn't treat you like you were broken. Like, if you had to saddle up the horse, he'd be like, okay, saddle up the horse. You can do it. Right.
Yeah.
He'd make you do those hard things. Right.
Absolutely. Saddle the horse you want to ride.
I love that. You brought up how when you were abducted, and again, you can go into as much detail as you feel comfortable with, is, your control was taken away. like even down to you didn't know if you're going to get water that day. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that experience of just the things we take for granted that were taken from you, that you used to have control over, now you had to wait for someone to maybe give it to you or not?
I mean, again, I grew up in a happy, loving home. I mean, my parents never deprived me of food or water. I mean, they were very much things I took for granted.
Yeah.
And so then finding myself in a situation where I didn't get to decide what I ate, when I ate it, if I got to eat, that was shocking. It was so hard.
Yeah.
And then just realizing that I just had to do whatever it took to survive. And from the outside looking in, I've had a lot of people say things to me like, well, why didn't you run? Or why didn't you scream? But unless you're in that experience, I mean, I just feel like maybe people couldn't understand that. And every decision that I made was with that goal of surviving. And ultimately, like, I look back and I don't regret any of the decisions that I made because I'm here today.
You're right.
And who's to say, had I chosen something else,
sure,
that I would have survived. So having those choices taken away from me, I just had to remind myself, it's okay. Just survive. Do everything you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever it is. Just survive.
Just survive. If you don't mind, if I can talk, you shared some really, details about what had happened where, when I think it's you heard your uncle's voice.
I mean, it sounded like my uncle.
It sounded like your uncle's voice. But, and the reason why maybe you didn't scream out or whatever, because you felt the sharpness of his knife on your neck.
I mean, and
think about that.
The responsibility to protect other life, because he said, if anyone comes into this camp, I will kill them and it will be your fault.
Yeah. And I think, there was also a point where you talked about, and you even said, I can't even believe I blurted it out, but you started talking about your best friend and cousin Olivia. And all of a sudden you realized that he latched onto that and was like, now we're going to maybe go after her.
Yeah, I mean, on day one,
I had forgotten that part of your story. When I read that, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, couldn't believe it.
Yeah, from day one, he was like, you are not allowed to speak about your family anymore. Like, you're not going by the name Elizabeth anymore.
Right.
I mean, I really felt like my whole identity was stripped from me.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like my family wasn't perfect, certainly not perfect. My childhood wasn't perfect, but it was a happy childhood. And, not having that in my life, not being surrounded by that. I mean, I looked for comfort wherever I could find it. And so, when that opportunity came and he didn't just immediately stop me or punish me, I naively took it.
Yeah, which is understandable. You're like, man, I can finally talk.
Yeah.
It's understandable. Again, there's so many details around all that. And I do appreciate what you wrote in the book, but I think what I love most is that, some of us may not obviously go through what you went through, but we have the struggles, and you talk about these rest stops in our lives. And I want to just talk about a few of these and get your thoughts on why you put this in the book. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you came up with 4 rest stops, and I'm just going to read them out loud because I think our listeners need to hear this. Number 1 is allow yourself to grieve the loss path and the destinations that disappeared with it. Avoid the trap of comparison. And then number 2 was recognize the ways your detour has changed you. Give yourself some grace in that change. Number 3, resist the urge to isolate. That's a big one. Pursue connection fearlessly. And then the last one was reflect on a new unexpected destinations. Take inventory of joys, big and small. So talk about why those 4 were so important to you along your journey of healing and what you realized as you've gone through this process.
I mean, I feel like we could really dissect each one of those.
Yeah.
But I tried to look at my healing, and I tried as much as I could to pinpoint kind of the turning points for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess just starting right away with the first one, there is no shame in grieving what you lost. I think we all have plans that we look forward to, that we have hope will happen in the future. And it can be pretty devastating when those plans are snatched from you or broken. And it's okay to grieve those lost paths. I mean, for instance, I talk about my parents' divorce.
Yes. That was going to be one of my questions. Yeah.
And, growing up, I just could never, that was never a thought in my mind. I mean, my parents were my foundation to life. Like I relied on them for everything, advice, guidance, everything. And, I remember even using it once as like an example, because I think the trap of comparison is very real.
Right.
And I have people say to me all the time things like, oh, well, I went through something similar, but nothing in comparison. And I kind of want to shake them and be like, there is no comparison. Like we're all unique, like snowflakes or fingerprints.
Yeah.
And, we all have different emotions. We all have different backgrounds. How could you adequately compare?
Yeah.
Or how could we accurately, that's the word I was looking for, accurately compare what we went through. Yeah. And so let's not go down that path of comparison.
Right.
And I know I was going somewhere with my parents. Oh, that's right. Sorry. My mind's going in a few different directions.
You're doing good.
But, that was just something I could never imagine happening. And I was talking to my friend, and my friend was like, oh, Elizabeth, how did you survive? What happened? And I was trying to explain to her, we all have our own set of scales. And I was like, I survived kidnapping, but I cannot imagine my parents breaking up. I cannot imagine my parents divorcing. I hope I never go through that.
Yeah.
That's just an impossibility. And then it did happen. And it has changed our family dynamic, and it has changed family holidays. And as nice as it is to get together with, my dad and my siblings, or my mom and my siblings, or just the siblings, those are wonderful moments, but there is a piece of sadness in there because our family feels incomplete.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're all figuring it out as we go along, and we're all trying to, forge our path forward, our new path forward.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's not hard, and it doesn't mean that it's not sad. And so it's okay to be sad over what you feel maybe was taken from you.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was really important, because I feel like there is shame attached to maybe not moving forward, or not just immediately snapping back, or feeling anger, or feeling sadness. And there's nothing wrong with those emotions. It's part of life.
Part of life, yeah.
Yeah.
No, well said, by the way. Thank you. And, you go into detail of that phone call you got from your father. I think it's 6 a.m., 5 a.m.
Early in the morning.
And you had a rough night with the kids, and it was what you talk about it, if I'm not mistaken, is that was the second biggest tragedy, next to when you were abducted, something that you never saw coming, and how devastating it was at the time you got that call, and it was how difficult that was. And again, you it sounds like you gave yourself a chance to grieve that, and probably still have some of that going on a little bit today, even, I don't know, but
yeah, absolutely. My family, my adult family has changed, and there is some sadness with that.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, again, another thing I love about you in this book is the vulnerability you present in here. That's refreshing, honestly. And I know it's kind of what you do now. You're out there speaking, and it was funny. You'll see this at the end of your book. I mean, I'm jumping ahead here a little bit, but I wrote this. You can see I wrote this. I summed it up in my head as soon as I'd done with your book. I wrote, "Chained to a tree to standing ovation." And you remember that you were going to start public speaking, and I think it was your second time speaking, you had lost your binder. Mm-hmm. and it had all your notes. You had done all your research. You had everything ready to go. Kind of like I have this book. Like I thought, if I lose this book today, I'm in trouble. And you talk about how scary that feeling was in the moment that you realized the binder's gone and I have to go walk out there and talk now.
Oh, I was terrified.
So talk about that moment where you're standing backstage, if you will. They're announcing you. You don't have your notes and binders, everything you had prepared for, and you're going out basically raw. Talk about that.
I mean, I was absolutely panicked and terrified, and I was so worried. I mean, how could I forget my binder? Like maybe the single most important item that I needed to bring with me.
Yeah.
And I just had this thought come to me. Nobody knows your story better than you do. And you only have to share what you feel comfortable sharing. And you're here today. Like you succeeded.
Yeah.
You can do hard things. Wow. This talk is not harder than being kidnapped.
For sure.
The sun will still rise tomorrow and you will still be a decent person.
Wow. Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, you got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And you just went out there and spoke from your heart.
Yep.
And got a standing ovation.
I mean, honestly, I don't really remember what I said. It's a bit of a blur, but I do remember beforehand and I remember afterhand.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, again, I there's so much to talk about here, and I hope we're going down the right path of everything. I hope this has been good. Again, your book's fantastic. I want to read. I want to read this out loud. It's in the chapter of the hope chapter, if I remember right. Let me just figure this out here. Good grief. That's what it said there. Sorry. Oh yeah, waking nightmares. And I want to read this because I thought this was important. Because you really painted a picture, and it really put me in your shoes for a minute. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine you are 14 years old and you've been ripped away from your home, your family, and your friends by a violent, unstable man who claims he's God's prophet. He takes away your name, gives you one of his own choosing. He rapes you every day, sometimes more than once, chains you to a nearby tree, and so you can't try and run. His wife helps him. If you don't do everything they say, you don't get to eat. When you cry too much, when you ask them to let you go, he pulls out his knife and tells you he's going to kill you if you ever make trouble. Not just that, he explains that he knows people, bad people, who wouldn't hesitate to kill your mother, your father, and all your siblings. He knows where you live. He knows evil. He knows the evil. You know he is evil enough to do it, right? And then one day a miracle happens. You hear someone, maybe your uncle, like we talked about, calling out nearby, and you think, this is it. They've found me. I'll be safe now. But before you can even make a sound, your captor presses himself against you. He tells you that if you make any noise at all, he will kill you. And then when your uncle follows the sound of your voice into the camp, he will kill him too. You know how sharp his knife is, and he's held it to your neck before, and you don't want to feel it ever again. You want to live. You want your uncle to live, so you stay silent. Whew. That just put me in such I could just visualize and feel. I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Beliefcast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap and Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode. I'm not trying to say I understand completely what you're going through, because I know I don't, but I can't imagine. I mean, when you hear me read that, how does that feel even hearing that?
I mean, it reminds me why I do what I do, honestly, because I feel like so many victims are put in the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
And are questioned, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And I mean, specifically like survivors of domestic violence.
Yeah.
I think people look at them and say, well, you had a phone, you had credit cards, you had a car. Why did you stay in a situation where you're being hurt? And you are just judged so much. But so for me, I really wanted to explain why. And I mean, I didn't go into what domestic survivors, like the reasons why they didn't run or do something, but also I haven't lived that. I could only give my own experience and try to help people understand that there is so much more going on than just what meets the eye. And so don't pass judgment immediately. Have a little bit of compassion for the people around you.
Yeah. Wow. Again, well said. And again, when I read that, my heart, I could truly feel it. So again, you're really good at writing. You're really good at painting a picture. And again, the vulnerability you had in this book was fantastic. Again, you talk about, the detours in our lives. We talk about the roadblocks and sometimes even the rock slides that get in our way. I love that you point out the rest stops, which we just referred to before. You also mentioned you were, and this might seem like really small in comparison, but you were on your way to go to a speaking event and you were coming down the canyon and there was a roadblock and, you're going to miss your flight. Right. And you had a thought of, well, maybe I just turn around and cancel and just not do it. And then you had an idea, well, there's this road maybe we can take. Talk a little bit about what was going through your mind at that time.
I mean, first of all, who has never gotten stuck in traffic?
Right.
Who has never showed up late to a meeting or school or work because there was an accident or road work or whatever?
Yeah.
And, I have never missed a flight due to being late or due to sleeping in or missing my alarm. And I've never not followed through with a commitment. I mean, unless it's like a snowstorm and it's just like physically impossible, like planes aren't taking off or, there's something major, COVID.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so I was sitting in the car with my husband and I was just like, what am I going to do? Like the GPS is saying like, it's going to take all this time. It's going to take so long to get through this traffic that I'm not going to get to the airport. Do we just go home? Like, do we just give up? And then, I mean, I had the thought, you know what? I remember someone telling me that there is a back road that you can take that eventually gets down to Salt Lake Valley. And so I was like, let's try it. Let's try it. Let's explore every option.
Right.
And so we took it. And honestly, it was a bit nerve-wracking because I didn't know where it came out. I didn't know if there was going to be like a fork in the road. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like we were getting further and further away. And we didn't have any signal. Yeah. And this road didn't show up on the GPS. Yeah. So I was just like, shoot, what are we going to do? Was this a mistake? Were we better off waiting in traffic and like hoping that it would clear up quicker than Siri was saying?
Sure.
Like, what do we do? So there was some panic there.
For sure. Well, and again, that happens every day in our lives. And that's why you also bring it back to, hey, it's these everyday things that we deal with, getting stuck in traffic and we might miss something but how that can cause, us to feel something negative right. But then again, you go back to the rest stops, those things that you point out that, hey, you know what? It's okay to feel bad that maybe you missed this, but you know what? Let's don't compare and those kind of things. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are all only human. No one is perfect.
Yeah.
Like we all have our struggles and there's no shame there's no shame in our rest stops or our landslides or our detours. I mean, that's how we move through life.
For sure. Well, you also talk about in your book where because of these detours and these roadblocks and the rock slides in your life, it led you to what you do now even, right? So talk a little bit about, you've got the Elizabeth Smart Foundation, and also if you wouldn't mind sharing with us Smart Defense, which I think is something that we need to take more serious, because I mean, I think about my own girls. I wish I would have taught them more about this kind of stuff, as they were growing up. But share a little bit about that.
I mean, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, true.
But
Thank you.
I mean, I guess it really started when I had to take the stand during the trial of my captors.
Yeah.
And it just felt like I was putting my life on display, that I was narrowing down what I experienced to bullet points. And on the stand, I didn't get to talk about my emotions or how it made me feel, or, what my thoughts were leading up to it, the fear I felt, or how I felt after. And I just remember feeling like, if I have to get up here and expose this part of my life that I never wanted to expose,
right,
there better be some reason, there better be some purpose.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to serve some good. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, well, why not me? I mean, I get to go home every day to a loving husband, to my children, to a safe home.
Right.
I don't live in fear. And how many survivors can say the same?
Yeah.
And how many survivors have that same support network? And when I have a bad day, I have people around me to remind me that I have a wonderful life and I deserve happiness, and not to give up, and kind of help pick me up and help me move forward again. So that kind of was the catalyst to speaking out, to starting the Elizabeth Smart Foundation. And Smart Defense actually started because I was at a speaking event. I had a really early morning flight, and honestly, sometimes as soon as I get on a plane, I don't know what it is, but I just fall asleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy, what a gift that is, man. I'm paranoid to fly. I'm always like, I wish I could sleep.
Well, now I don't sleep much because my kids are,
right.
I'm usually watching them.
Right.
But at the time, like, I was just so tired. I'd had a late night at the event the day before, had a really early flight. I just was exhausted, got on this flight. How nice I'd been upgraded.
That's good.
To first class, which, I don't get to fly for first class that often.
Yeah,
so I was
right.
like, oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Those 2 inches of leg space and like that extra inch of moving the chair back. Oh, thank heavens.
Yeah, right.
And I fell asleep on the plane. And then I woke up right before we started our descent. And I woke up because the man next to me was reaching in between my legs and rubbing my inner thigh.
Oh my goodness.
And I was in such shock that I froze, which for the record is a common response. Probably one of the most common responses.
Sure.
And then, the flight attendant comes on and is like, stay in your seats, make sure your seat backs are in the upright and locked position, tray tables are up. And I just I was frozen for the rest of the flight, really. And this man, like, at first I was waiting for him to apologize. I was waiting for him to give me some reason or excuse why he was reaching across, like the big armrest in first class, and why his hand was in between my legs. And he just sat there and looked at me. He didn't say anything. And I had to physically pick up his hand and take it off me. And when I got off the plane, I remember calling my husband. I remember calling my dad. And I just remember saying, what is wrong with me? Do I just have like a big billboard on my forehead that says victim, easy target? Like, I have to be one of the most well-known victims in America.
For sure.
Like, how is this happening to me? This is not okay. And if this is happening to me in first class, who else is it happening to?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to do something about this. This is not okay. And so I remember just thinking, you know what? I don't want to say you can't depend on anyone to save you, but many times you can't.
Yeah.
You can only depend on yourself. And I wanted to do something. I wanted to give something.
Yeah.
I wanted to give tools to people that would be there if they ever found themselves in that situation. And that's how Smart Defense was born. And it's a very, I want to say, holistic, trauma-informed approach to self-defense. And it's a combination of Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Krav Maga. And
Dang.
it's like very interactive. But I mean, we do a lot of breath work in it. And actually at the beginning of each class, my director, she is amazing. She's probably like 6 inches shorter than me.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, she could take on the world. She could kill me.
I actually watched one of her videos, and yeah, she is a fireball.
She is. But she usually starts the class by having everyone go around and saying one thing that they like about themselves. And it's actually heartbreaking at how hard it is for so many women and girls just to say one thing nice about themselves.
So true.
And like, it shouldn't be that way. So it is, it is about trying to build confidence, trying to help people like realize these natural responses, fight, flight, freeze, appease. They are natural responses. I mean, your brain doesn't even like think about it. Your body just reacts.
Yep.
And I mean, I talk about it in my book. I mean, I interview or I have Dr. Bailey give her input, which she's wonderful and I adore her.
Yeah, she's great. You quoted her several times in here. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So talk a little bit more about the Elizabeth Smart Foundation. Obviously, I think it was your dad initially that said to you, go out and speak and share your story. Is that correct?
It was, yep. And I remember at first just sitting there thinking, what good does sharing my story do? Like, what kind of impact does that have? Like, shouldn't I be in the trenches? Like, shouldn't I be like a forensic interviewer or a therapist? Or like, shouldn't I be working at like a CJC, Children's Justice Center or Advocacy Center? But the more that I did it, I mean, I remember just thinking, okay, like, I'll give it a try. Why not? The amount of people I had approaching me, like thanking me for sharing my story and talking about how it made it easier for them to share their stories or ask for help or realize that they weren't to blame and trying to let go of the shame and guilt they experienced. I realized, you know what? I think we actually do learn through stories. Yeah. And I mean, like, statistics are shocking and is great the right word? I'm not sure, but I mean, you can really go for impact when you have a strong statistic.
Sure.
But if you're anything like me, I mean, numbers, I don't always remember them. I mean, there's a few statistics I remember very well, but a lot of them, like, I forget. But I remember stories much longer, and I remember how they make me feel. And I feel like I'll never forget interviewing Tanya Cash, who she was kidnapped and she was held captive for about 10 years. And she was just in an upstairs bedroom. And the guy who kidnapped her, his parents lived down below and they had no idea she was upstairs. So, like, she really talked about the grooming process, and listening to her story, I feel like really shone a light and helped people understand what grooming is.
Yeah. Wow. God, there's so much I want to talk to you about. You also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not best with numbers either.
Good. I'm glad to know I'm not alone.
I think the year you were abducted, I think it was over 800,000 had been abducted that year.
I honestly couldn't tell you for sure.
But anyway.
At one point I did do the research.
But the point, either way, it's a high number. I mean, one's too many.
Hundreds of thousands.
But it's hundreds of thousands, which really I was just blown away. Like, we just don't even recognize it. And this is my thoughts. I think one of the reasons why, I know you talked about how privileged you were to have your story go nationwide so people could search for, you were very fortunate because of some of the privileges you have.
1,000%.
And you were being really vulnerable and open and honest. You talked even about how there was you referred to a couple of Black girls who didn't get the same publicity. And you talked about how this is a problem.
100%.
So I just want you to know, I really respect that. But I think I see your story, how it was so out there and it's the most widely known. but I think it's set up for you to be doing this. Again, that may be, you may think I'm being weird with that. I just had that not happen. I mean, look at the impact you're doing now. I mean, you speak all over the place now. You've written books. You're on my podcast today, and people really do look up to you. But I think also you are fighting for change. The smart defense is a perfect example. There's not enough, defense classes for girls to understand what they should do in those situations. And right?
Yeah. Like, if you were raised anything like me, you were raised to be polite. You were raised to like respect authority. Yeah. You were raised to, give a helping hand if one was asked for, to go out of your way to be kind to other people. And I think that's wonderful. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but also that can be a very dangerous mix. I mean, if there are malicious people who are looking to take advantage or looking for an easy target, without kind of that corresponding response and the permission to stand up for yourself and to take up space and realize it's okay to say no and it's okay to fight back. I mean, like I tell my girls all the time, if anyone ever like tries to touch you, like you do whatever you have to. You punch them, you kick them, and I don't care how old they are. Right. I don't care if it's a kid in your class. I don't care if it's a younger kid. And if you get in trouble, I will back you up. You won't be in trouble with me.
Yeah, I love that. Great advice. But again, I love how you really got vulnerable around that. The things need to change. And I want to read something out of your book about why you do what you do, if that's okay. Again, you talk about why were we giving predators the advantage of silence and ignorance, right? Because if you don't say anything, kind of the advantage, right? And you go, this is why I founded the Elizabeth Smart Foundation, an organization that is actively working to put an end, I love that, an end to sexual violence through advocacy and education. This is why we developed Smart Defense, a defense training course and sexual assault education class available to girls 12 and up. This is why we began the We Believe You campaign, which calls on our society to support, encourage, and believe victims of sexual assault and to donate to help survivors on their own journey of healing. And then if I jump the page, it says, if my story has helped even one person let go of their shame and retake control of their narrative, then all of the hard work would be worth it. Yeah. I just love, again, what you said there. It's just so authentic, I guess is the word I would say.
Well, the state of Utah is about 1 in 3 women, females, are sexually abused in their lifetime. And that's above the national average. The national average is about 1 in 5.
Okay.
And these are the cases that are even reported.
Yeah.
I mean, how many go unreported? And how many are stopped from reporting because of fear? Fear of the predator, the perpetrator, fear that they won't be believed, fear that people will judge them, maybe judge them on their past before whatever transpired even happened.
Yeah.
And so I want to change that. I mean, we do need a cultural shift. And, it's between 2 and 8%. Of victims or people who make false reports. I mean, it's a very low number. And I guess I just think about that in terms of a math test. If I got a 92%, like if we're taking the 8%, the larger number of false reporting, if I get a 92% on a math test, I am thrilled.
Sure.
Like, that is an A. I mean, maybe it's an A minus, but it is an A.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so I think, you know what? You are always better to believe a survivor. And personally, like, I would rather be wrong. 1,000%. Yeah. I would rather be wrong. I mean, to pull another case into the light, Sherry Papini. Mm-hmm. She gave the story that she was kidnapped on Thanksgiving Day while she was out for a run. She was gone for a few days, and then she was rescued. And I had contact with Sherry Papini, and we talked, and she talked about the things that were hard for her. And then come to find out, she wasn't actually kidnapped. And you know what? I don't regret my actions.
Sure.
Because I would rather be wrong and be kind and be understanding than disbelieve survivors. And I feel like that belief really can set the tone for their healing journey. I mean, if you are believed right out of the gate, most people share their stories with someone that they trust. And if that person that you trust doesn't believe you, why would you want to share it with someone you don't trust? Why would you want to share it at all?
Right. Wow. Well said. And thanks for sharing that, because again, I think you're right. Why we should be more on believing what they're saying. And if we're wrong, then like you said, I'd rather be wrong.
Exactly. I'd rather be wrong every day of the week
Right.
than not believe a survivor.
Right. In your book, you quote Rumi, who's one of my favorite people to study, the 13th century Persian poet. I love Rumi, but here's the quote. Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Do you mind sharing why that quote meant so much to you and what that means to you?
I guess I look at my own life, and I don't think I was a bad person before I was kidnapped. I think I was a good person.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I was a kid. But I didn't know about sexual assault. I didn't know how common it was. I didn't know about domestic violence. I didn't know about abduction. I didn't know about, these minority cases that never see the light of day, and their stories are never shared. I didn't know any of that. And sure, you can say, well, you were just a kid. How could you know it? But if I had continued on that path, would I have ever known it? And if someone had talked to me about it, what would I do? Would I do anything about it? Or would I think, well, that's terrible. Like, sure, here's $100, here's $50, whatever. Like, I'll donate, what I can or whatever.
Yeah.
But would I do much more than that? And so I guess I look at my own kidnapping, which I would say absolutely was a wound. And I look at my life now, and I have this passion for the work that I do, and to see cultural change, and to see victims finding their strength again and be empowered. And like, I want to be kind to myself, but I also just want to say, I don't think I would be walking down the path that I'm walking had I not been kidnapped. And so do I feel like my wound was where the light entered, where my purpose came into being? Absolutely.
Whew. Man, that was well said. That was powerful. I love that. And I'm a huge fan of Rumi, so that really jumped out at me. And, again, there's so many things to get into this book, but I want to talk about, your husband, Matthew. You talk a lot about him in here and how he is your home. You talked about one of the blessings you notice now in your life. You have, this amazing man in your life. Your kids are awesome. You have a safe place to go to. And again, you talk about when you want to be like home and safe, it's Matthew, right?
Yeah.
So you met him, if I'm not mistaken, on your mission.
Yes.
Which you're like, really, on the mission? Yeah. But talk about him just for a minute. Let's give him a little shout out, because obviously he loves you, supports you, and he's an amazing man. And I wanted to give him a little bit of some time today.
I mean, I dated quite a bit in my earlier years, and I think there were a lot of the guys that I went out with who were good guys. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but I also think that they were just like, oh, I don't want to offend her, or like maybe like I don't want to make her uncomfortable, which is so thoughtful. And I'm appreciative of that.
Yeah.
But I guess I also wanted someone who wasn't afraid to challenge me or push back a little bit, or really make me think. And I met Matthew, and he never treated me with kid gloves. And I mean, he wasn't afraid to push back. And I mean, he made me feel a little bit like my grandpa did when he would tell me to go saddle the horse, when he would like tell me to go do something hard. That's kind of how Matthew made me feel. And I mean, when I am traveling by myself to go to an event or a meeting or a conference or whatever, I always, like, however great the event is, however great the summit is, I always look forward to going home. But when I travel with him, I mean, he is home.
He's home.
I don't need to go back to like my physical address where all my belongings are. He is my home. And that is just the feeling that I always have with him.
Wow. Well, and I love how you compare him to Grandpa Smart, right? Because again, they treated you as if, you know, the truth about you is you're powerful and you're strong and you're resilient, and we're gonna treat you that way. And I love that you said that he challenged you in that way. And again, not that it was bad to, you know, have people go, I'm not sure what to do because I don't want to, you know, they're trying to be nice and kind, but you didn't need that. What you needed is someone to go, no, you're powerful, girl, and you're going to do great things, and I'm going to help you, support you in that area, right?
And I mean, for the record, like, he's wonderful and he is very supportive, but also, like, we don't agree on everything.
Sure.
Like, we're a normal couple.
No, that's great. I just loved the story and just how you guys met on the mission and all that stuff, and I thought that was cool. And you know, again, when I think back, you know, of reading this amazing book, and do you want to hold that for the camera for us? I want people to see this. Look how amazing, guys, this book here, you can see, I mean, I've got notes in here. I've dissected this book. I'm a reader, Elizabeth. I love to read. I mean, you can see my stack of books over here. It's one of my favorite hobbies to do. And this one, I can honestly say, is one that I would challenge everyone listening to this right now to get this book, to not only get more knowledge around what you're struggling with yourself, but your loved ones. If you have young girls in your house, if you even young boys, whatever, that need guidance and help, this book is going to do that. And you said you want to help one person. I mean, it helped me, and I can tell you that right now. And so,
and how many people do you help? I mean, we all keep helping, don't we? If we all just help one person, we'll all help each other.
That's a great point. I do. I try to, I mean, that's why I do what I do. I was a drug addict for 10 years, and I've dedicated my last 36 years in making a difference in people's lives. That's why I started the podcast in the first place, because I want to help people. And if this podcast helps one person, right, Elizabeth, if what you and I are talking about helps one, you and I will give each other a high five and say, hey, we did it. That's what it was all about. Fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, that book is amazing, guys. I would challenge you guys to get that, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. I got just maybe one or two more questions, and we'll wrap it up. If there's someone listening to you right now who is in a dark place and they are struggling, and maybe they've been through similar things that you've been through, but they've told no one, or they just feel scared or lost or whatever, what would you tell that one person listening to you right now?
Well, actually, you have this great quote on your wall, and I think it's a pretty good reminder for all of us. It says, the most delightful surprise in life is to suddenly recognize there is nothing wrong with you. And I would want everyone who's struggling to just recognize that there isn't anything wrong with you, and you deserve happiness, and you deserve a good life. Like there isn't anything that could happen to you that is so bad that makes you unworthy.
Yeah.
I mean, no one can take your value away from you. And it might be dark right now, and it might be dark tomorrow, and maybe the next month, and maybe a year, maybe even longer. But there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Do not give up on yourself.
Wow. Well, and you're living proof of that. What I love about your story, Elizabeth, is that you are proof in all of us that the human spirit is strong. Like, we can go through some really hard things and still rise above. And you don't know this, but I share your story with my clients all the time. I've been doing it for years. You don't even know that, and maybe you know, okay, thanks, Todd, whatever. And reason why I tell you that, Elizabeth, is because I work with a lot of clients who believe they're permanently broken. They're never going to get out of what they've been through. I've done horrible things, or horrible things have happened to me, and I'm never going to change. And I always say, well, then how did she do it? You know, and I just put it right at them, you know, and I share a lot of your story. You know, Your story was shared in the book, Live Your Life in Crescendo by Stephen Covey and Cynthia Covey. I don't know.
Yes.
If you,
I gave an interview for it.
Yeah. So Cynthia was on my podcast a couple years ago, right before they went on their mission. And I learned so much of your story from that book, which was fantastic, by the way. So again, I just want you to know, I really look up to you. I admire what you do. I can't even believe you're sitting here with me. It blows my mind. Like, I feel like I wish, or I hope I can let you know how much I appreciate your time, because I know you're pulled in a lot of directions. You have your own family to worry about as well. So again, thank you for taking some time, and thank you for writing this amazing book.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for reading it. Thank you for your great questions.
Oh, thank you.
And I mean, just to go back to, I just
Please.
felt like it was a good comment to make, but you talked about how you talk about clients that you have who show up, and to those clients, if they really do feel like they're broken, I mean, why are they here with you? Why are they seeking your guidance and help?
Yeah.
They must have a spark of belief in themselves that life can get better, because otherwise they wouldn't be reaching out to you. They wouldn't be working with you. Because it takes courage to ask for help.
That's a good
and
point.
It takes courage to not just ask for help, but actively seek out that help.
Yeah. Great point. Thank you for saying that. If someone wants to, donate to, your foundation, learn more about Smart Defense, and even get a copy of your book, what's the best way for them to do that?
I mean, we are on social media, Elizabeth Smart Foundation. We have a website, elizabethsmartfoundation.org. Really original name, I know. And my book is available on Amazon. It's available on premiercollectibles.com. There's signed copies there. I feel like I keep posting the link on my social media.
Sure.
It's available.
Yeah. Well, and I'll put the links on our show notes when we go live, and people can click right on it and get right to it. And again, I just encourage everyone listening today, even if you don't think you're in a bad spot, but you know someone who is, get them this book. It'll be a great Christmas gift. And really, I think it's the best gift you could give someone, because it's going to teach them that, hope is real, and it can get us past these difficult things. And we all know someone right now who's in a bad spot, who's wrestling with life in general. This book will help them through that path. So I encourage everyone to do that and support you.
Well, thank you very much.
You bet. Any last words? Anything else that you'd like to share that we didn't touch on?
I mean, just thank you for having me, and I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. And again, it really is an honor. Like a true, I've been doing this a long time, and you're up here in my eyes, and not because you're famous because of what happened, but because how you've handled it. It really inspires me to be a better person.
Well, thank you very much.
You betcha. Well, I hate to end this, but we need to. We could talk all day, but I know you need to get going as well. Listeners and followers, thank you for tuning in. You guys believe in me. It means the world to me. Thank you for supporting this podcast. I can't believe where it's at today. It just blows my mind. And I don't take any credit. It's because of these amazing people I bring on, such as Elizabeth Smart. Please share this with your family and loved ones. If you have a son or a daughter who's struggling, and whatever it is, send them a link to this episode, and this will open their eyes, and then you can follow back up with a conversation, and it'll be amazing. So guys, please check out Elizabeth Smart Foundation. Please get her book. Please support her. Thanks for supporting me. I love you guys. And Elizabeth, you're amazing, and I'm so grateful that I get to sit here with you today.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Everyone, love you. Till next time.